affected by slavery.
Yeah.
What do you, how do you come down
I
on
just,
that
I just
issue?
think we're so far removed from the event. It was the original sin of the country, and I think let's just make it a more perfect union rather than looking backward, because I don't know where it stops when you do that.
Do you think the idea deserves to be studied further? Some of the 2020 presidential candidates have said that there should be a commission to study the idea further.
You know, I'm not there. I want to move. You know, listen, the original sin is real. We've tried to overcome all of our mistakes with the American Indian, you name it. We're not a perfect country, but we're trying to form a more perfect union, and I don't think this helps.
What's your take on the idea of reparations? Do you think that that would be a good
I don't think any person, black or white, is responsible for what someone else, black or white, did 150 years ago. And I think most Americans feel the same way I do. Slavery was reprehensible. It's indefensible. But reparations presents a whole different issue. And I believe in personal responsibility, and I just don't think someone today is responsible for what someone else did 150 years ago.
That same group of people later, white people, died to free black people. It's never happened in human history before, but it happened here in America. Let's not talk about the schools very much, is it? They make it sound like America is a racist, broken country. You name a country that did that freed slaves, died to do that. You know, they talk about reparations. What are the reparations for the people from the North who died to save the lives of black people? And I know it's not politically correct to say that, but you know what? We got to stop being politically correct. We got to call it like it is.
Nobody owes you anything for slavery. If you want to tell the truth about it, it is you who owes. It's you who owes. Why do you owe? Because somebody in those fields took stripes for you. Somebody, after those fields were ended and slavery was ended, somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you. Somebody fought wars and died for you. Somebody lived less than because they didn't have what you have, and they did it for you. There are people in their graves right now, and they are there because they were willing to stand up and fight for you. Nobody owes you anything. If anybody owes, it's you, because you've been the benefactor of freedom. You are the one that owes.
Republican Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina. Senator, good evening to you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sandra. Good to be with you.
First up, on the issue of reparations, where do you stand, sir?
Well, if this was 1865 or 1920, we could actually have a conversation about paying back those folks who provided so much free labor to this country. There is no question that slavery is a sin, but what we're not talking about today, we're not talking about slavery. What we're actually talking about, and what we should be talking about, is progress. I think what you saw today was a political show around reparations to create an atmosphere, again, in this country that I think is polarizing and divisive. What we should be talking about is a way forward that is quite inclusive. Education, making sure that every single zip code in this country has high quality education. We should be talking about the Opportunity Zone legislation signed by President Trump that brings back billions of dollars to the most distressed communities in America. We should be talking about criminal justice reform done by the Republican Party that will create opportunities for returning citizens to not recidivate. There are a lot of topics that we should have. I wish they'd have a hearing in the House about some of these topics and ways to move this nation
But as far as
together.
the bill is concerned, Senator, do you, like many of those 2020 candidates, they have not thrown their full support behind reparations. They are throwing their support behind a bill that would study and consider reparations. Do you support that?
I don't. The subject of reparations is 100 years too old from my perspective. We should look for ways to grow our economy and give every single American a chance to compete in the greatest economy in the world.
We've, tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war, by passing landmark civil rights legislation. We've elected an African-American president. I think we're always a work in progress in this country, but no one currently alive was responsible.
Were you aware that your great-great-grandfathers were slave owners in Alabama before the Civil War, and has that revelation caused you to change your position on reparations?
You know, I find myself once again in the same position as President Obama. We both oppose reparations, and we both are the descendants of slaveholders.
All together. This is a great pleasure. Joining me now, Congressman Wesley Hunt from the great state of Texas. This is our second Texan on the show. Wesley, Mr. Hunt, you write on FoxNews.com, and I'm going to quote this: San Francisco's plan for reparations will not correct the wrongs of history. In fact, it will make things worse. This is, I wanted to have you on. I'm so glad you're available today. The history is great, but it's very brave of you to say what you said. And at the end of this piece, I want to say, it's a destructive Marxist proposal that will set precedent for nationwide wealth redistribution based on race. It's counter to every principle our society is founded on, and if implemented, may be the first step to the very destruction of our society. It's tough stuff. I agree, but tell us more about your piece and what motivated you to write this piece.
Well, of course. Well, this program is not going to be funded by pennies from heaven. What you're essentially going to do is you're going to take $600,000 per family because of the color of their skin, and you're going to redistribute that wealth and then give it to another family because of the color of their skin. And that is Marxism, that is socialism, it is wrong, it is absolutely antithetical to what our founding fathers wanted from us. And I'm the great-great-grandson of a slave. Now, I am here because I'm a West Point graduate, because I earned multiple master's degrees from Ivy League school, because I served my country. My dad's a retired colonel. My sister went to West Point. My brother went to West Point. And I don't want to take anybody else's money to fund my life when I can earn it myself in this country. And what liberals want to do oftentimes is they want to say, hey, I want to give you something. I want to give you this. Hey, young black family, let me put my arm around you and take from somebody else and give it to you and then create a victim. And I wrote this piece because I reject that. And I want to empower the black community and help us realize that we live in the greatest country in the world. We don't want your reparations. We can earn it ourselves.
Some people say, well, they're soft on crime. No, they're not soft on crime. They're pro-crime. They want crime. They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bullshit. They are not owed that.